So John, I get this one all the time from my viewers, that they'll say that they'll call in 1, 2, 3, 4 agents or something, all of which have different prices they're saying they can get. One will say, oh, we've got to be realistic and we'll get you 300,000. One will say, oh, look, I reckon it's 320. One will say, I know I can get you 380,000. And they all sound believable. Yep. They all sound like they genuinely believe, and yet there can be a 20 or 30% difference in what they're quoting. What's going on there? How do we know who to believe?
You know, I ask that question myself a lot actually, because sometimes, you know, we've had circumstances where we've ended up having to be, you know, the second and sometimes third and fourth agent in, that where the owner has got excited by the messages that have been portrayed by other agents, and they've put their property on the market well above where the market is prepared to pay, and they've had to sit there for a long time. So by the time it comes around to us and we start to give them the information that is, you know, is relevant and that's going to get the job done, is, you know, unfortunately they're you know, they're pretty well disappointed by the whole process. And one thing that I don't understand personally though is that, I mean, we all, you know, I wouldn't say we get trained by the same people, but we all, you know the methods. We use a lot of the same methods to actually, you know, ascertain what would be the market price for a property. So I really don't understand where a lot of agents get their ideas about shoving the, you know, an extra $50,000, $100,000 on there. But
well, is it to excite the sellers? Because we, I know when I've sold properties, we all kind of think, and I've been guilty of it myself, that we think it's worth more. I mean, do they know what they're doing, and they're doing it on purpose?
Well, Glenn, here's the thing: is that it's frustrating because it happens so often that we actually have a term for it, and it's called buying the listing. And, you know, I've had so many properties where we've been able to, you know, illustrate how we can get the top dollar for them in today's market, only to find out later that that we say, look, we're going to go with another agent, and all of a sudden that same property is listed for $50,000 more, and then 6 months later, you know, nothing happens, and so all of a sudden it comes back to us again. And, you know, I've known some principals, and it's scary, that have actually said to their sales staff and probably, I don't care what you do whatever it takes to get the listing. I don't care what you quote on it. We just want all the listings, right? And all they're trying to do is just get market share. They're not actually out there trying to get the best results for their sellers. They're just out there trying to accumulate stock in order to look the best. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get the best results. Another thing that's concerning as well is that once that, like, there's part of that almost philosophy, I guess you could say, of trying to get all those listings, is that once they've got your property, is that all that's in their mind is you've got to beat down the vendor. I mean, the property owner, right? Sorry, we've got all these words that get thrown out, but, you know, beat down the vendor to sell the property. So they're not even now trying to be out there encouraging new buyers to your property. They're just like, beat down the owner. So basically now it's just wear you down until you get to a price that, you know, it's going to sell.
Wow.
So another thing that I consider too is that, I'll use this analogy, right? Like you're shopping for a new toy for your son, right? And you want to get him to train. Just you go into a train shop. I'm not sure if he likes trains, but he does now, okay? Then you walk around the shop and you see all these really shiny new ones, and all of a sudden you come across this one thing that's covered in dust.
Yeah, okay.
What comes to mind?
It's been there for a while.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. And, you know, if they're asking a certain price tag, it could be, you know, $50 for this train, and you've got all dust all over it, and there's $50 on it. Doesn't even have reduced. Would I be right in saying you're probably thinking, what's wrong with this train?
Yeah, I want to go to the shiny ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that happens with your property if it's been sitting there for 6 months, because on the internet search results, it's now like on page 6 on one of the web portals, etc. And people know that. You know, people keep track, and with the technology now is that they know if a property's been sitting there for a while. So if then, like just like the train, for example, that the longer your property stays on the market, the thicker that the dust starts to settle on it. And by the time 6 months has come around, nobody even wants it. Even if you reduced it by, you know, below what it's worth, you probably still won't get any interest, because everyone's going, what's wrong with this stale listing?
So it's almost like, it sounds like horribly, which is why this show exists. It's why we pick the brains of guys like yourself. Because it sounds like if we've listed too high, the dust settling, it's kind of like, can that agent beat down the vendor in price, the seller in price, before that dust settles on it? And
absolutely.
Wow, it sounds like a race against time to see which happens first. That's why, again, your people in your community are lucky, because they've got an easy choice. Because, again, it seems the rest of the people across the country don't have such a standout choice.